Bitcoin's bull case will pump Mara stock a lot, right? I've been talking about this since last year. I've been talking about this since earlier this year. I haven't made an update video on Mara in, I don't know, it's been like about a week and a half or so, but I want to jump back into Mara and I actually want to start to personally open some new positions with it because last time we talked about Mara, we had this amazing retracement area that we've been waiting on to fill. Now it's starting to fill, and we're going to talk about this in more detail in just a moment and how this can be a really, really great opportunity. With the Bitcoin bull case supporting it as well. But as we all know, there's a lot of mixed news on Bitcoin, but there's still a lot of background adoption. There's still a lot of analysts understanding that Bitcoin is just something that's going to have a lot of inflows soon enough, right? The macroeconomic conditions are transferring the foundation of risk on assets. It's setting up for it, right? So we can start seeing a lot of that inflows. But basically, what I'm trying to say is that there's a lot of analysts that are still seeing much higher upside on Bitcoin, regardless of the short term fluctuations that we're seeing, right? Because even though Bitcoin is dipping, we've been expecting this. We've been expecting this since before, we made a new all-time high. We've been expecting this, and I kept saying, I'm not going to repeat it too much, but I kept saying tight stop losses, small long positions to take advantage of the rest of this rally before we start finding confirmation of a bearish trend, which we have now. We have a bearish trend confirmation overall, bigger picture, lower lows and lower highs forming. Now, I'm going to talk about this in a little bit of detail because this is going to make sense with Bitcoin or with Mara in a moment. But Bitcoin, seeing that the price found support so far around 103,100 and it rallied up a little bit more. It started creating this smaller picture. Have you guys been, using fib extensions and keeping track of, the smaller price actions? You're going to know how important it is to keep track of price fluctuations and how that can confirm a potential either we're having a bullish correction on an overall bigger picture downtrend, or how can we confirm that the uptrend or the low is in and we are actually in a reasonable uptrend. And we're going to talk about that and how that influences Mara. But basically right now, Bitcoin is breaking over this descending resistance, right? We have a little bit of an uptrend forming as the price reaches and approaches the yellow retracement area for this overall move down that we've been seeing from the new all-time high. Now, there's strong resistance within this area. It can actually go all the way up a bit more because we have the original previous all-time high in the blue line. And just above that, we have a lot of this, how do you say, consolidation up here with a very large imbalance that was slightly filled once again, but with low volume. So I wouldn't be surprised if this area gets crushed a little bit and we potentially go all the way up to roughly 110,000. So there's strong resistance up in this area. This area is just to remind us that we shouldn't be overly optimistic until we have a continuation of a bullish uptrend. But as of right now, until we have that bullish uptrend, I am still looking for lower prices soon enough in the future. And again, this is just representing a larger picture correction before Bitcoin could go much higher. Regardless, it doesn't have to come down into this area. I'm still looking at this area so far. I'm taking trades according to that and being very cautious of my trades because I want to make sure I'm conserving capital for a very nice setup. But as of right now, we're still looking at a little bit more short-term upside before the bigger picture downside. If we have a bullish confirmation, I will update you guys. But either way, both of these scenarios will lead Bitcoin eventually into much higher prices. And Mara, how this influences Mara is that as Bitcoin is trying to form a bottom, or as it's trying to continue to balance itself out and set itself up for a much healthier rally into a new all-time high, it's allowing Mara to have this pullback to also give the Mara chart a reasonable correction, potentially bringing it all the way back down to even 12. I wouldn't be surprised if this red area gets broken a little bit, but regardless, the moment we break below the 0.5, but not just the 0.5 at $13.50, but the moment we break below 13, I believe, and I'll keep you guys updated, but I believe it's a really good buying opportunity, and I want to begin accumulating, because we are still waiting on this bullish confirmation uptrend where we finally break above the larger picture support line. You can see we've been tracking the support line for a while, and it's been holding really, really well. It broke when we had tariff fears, and now we're starting to show a lot of bullish momentum to go back above it, right? And then eventually break above the purple line, potentially even go much higher into the 30s and so on. But I'm not going to be overly optimistic on that. I want to pay attention on the shorter term, right? So the bull case for Bitcoin to make it go well above like 115K, well above 120K, all that's very, very much possible in my opinion. But in the shorter term, as Bitcoin still has its fluctuations, as it still tries to confirm if the low is in, or if we're gonna finally get that last one more dip before prices begin to go back up and not really show signs of it weakening now at any point as we go to much, much higher prices. We're still paying attention on short-term weakness, right? Short-term weakness is extremely important to keep an eye on and what those areas can look like, because until we do, and this blue area isn't super significant, it's just to show short-term like micro structure resistance for this uptrend that was confirmed, but this can fade out very quickly. But I'm still looking at higher prices in the short term, and if we get that confirmation, I'll let you guys know. But basically with Mara, we got to remember that Mara it's not ideal due to the amount of shares they are always pumping out into the markets and causing this watering down effect into the shareholders. But we got to remember what the overall picture for these tech companies, these Bitcoin companies in the macroeconomic landscape of the US, and how well Mara is compared at least to its competitors, and the amount of inflows that we can see in this stock. But basically what I'm trying to say is that the bull case for Bitcoin is very attractive for, in my opinion, anyone looking to buy Mara and hold on to it throughout this 2025 bull run. But for you short-term traders that don't want to hold for a few months, we are still looking at a little bit more weakness before potentially beginning to accumulate Mara. I think the likelihood of it breaking below the swing low is extremely unlikely, but lower prices, potentially even below briefly $13 for a little bit, is very possible. But the best way to approach this is I'm going to be patient with this stock. I'm going to be patient with it a little bit more as we try to finish filling in this red area. Eventually, when Mara does fill in the red area, I want to compare it with Bitcoin and see where Bitcoin is at. Because if Bitcoin is still showing short-term weakness or significant short-term weakness, I want to wait for Mara to break below this area a bit more and then try to max out the previous retracement in orange that we've been keeping track of around $11.70. So I want to see where Bitcoin is at the moment. Mara is around $12.60. Depending where Bitcoin is at there, then I personally will be looking to accumulate here. If not, depending where Bitcoin is at, then I will let Mara come down a bit more and accumulate around here, which will be $1 less than the original buy signal area. But I just want to express short-term caution, but there's still a lot of opportunity here. We're just waiting, and I can delete this because this was invalidated the moment the price broke below that, which was, like I said in the last video, much more, very likely that can happen. So we're just waiting. I'm personally just waiting for Bitcoin to show a really, really good correlation, bullish, or just trade opportunity confirmation. The moment Mara is down here, depending on what Bitcoin's doing. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I'll let you guys know what's up with Mara and how it evolves going forward. But I think it's a really, really good trade opportunity. Just not yet. Just soon, but just not yet. Yeah. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.